Tonight we are talking commitment and continuity. So I seem to have quite a big glare going on somewhere. Let me just see if I can sort that out, because I feel as though I just think it's my disco ball. So commitment and continuity, because in life, when we talk about life, we know that time moves on. And for those of you that know me as well, will know that with all the other, thank you, Vanessa, for my glam comment about my disco balls. So life, gets in the way, life changes, and time, what I was going to say is time. Time is another one of these man-made units of measure. I mean, time definitely exists. We can't stop the planets turning or the sun rising, but the way in which we measure it and the way in which we divide up our time and choose to spend our time and prioritize and all of those things has actually become influenced by so many other things rather than just the natural rhythms of the world. And as we all know, quite frequently, life will just simply get in the way. And I completely respect and am mindful of the fact that it's taken an enormous amount of effort for you all to participate in the Creative Kickstarter Challenge. And for that, I'm very grateful that you've actually, made the sacrifice of something which is incredibly valuable, which is your time. And for me, doing somebody who does quite a lot of energy work and knows that time, if we sort of just step back from it a little bit, we can sort of control our time a lot better. But the thing, as we started right at the beginning of the week, and I said, it's all about you, because everything that you do is actually related to the way in which you can manage your time and how you feel about that. And it is terribly, terribly difficult, and it is more difficult when it's something that you're very passionate and personally attached and connected to, which undoubtedly you are with regard to your work. Okay, so it's a good one to not beat yourself up too much. Give yourself a little bit of a break, and just sometimes accept that it's not the right time. But there are certain things that we all know that can help and support us. And that's one of the things that when we talked on Monday a little bit about people, I sort of erred to when we talked about those people that support you and can be your champion and actually can really hold your hand. And unfortunately, sometimes the people closest to us are really not the best people to support us, because they can either be, or we can perceive them to be. They often aren't. The words that they use in a way in which they think we are encouraging, or they are encouraging, we can sometimes take as criticism. And we know that, we choose to interpret things in a way that suits ourselves. And sometimes that's the greatest excuse not to do something, because of the way in which we interpret it. And these things become a little bit of a habit as well. So when we talk about commitment, really the only commitment that matters is the commitment that you make to yourself. But it's building up your tool set in order for you to not beat yourself up and not let the negativity or the sense of failure or your own self-criticism or your own self-perfection or your own fear of success take over. And all of those are voices that we can hear and that we probably frequently do hear, which are all the reasons to not do something. But I will always say, and I've, as you know, sort of come from a background where sometimes I'm literally working with teams of hundreds of people. And when somebody says, I can't do that, I can't do this, I can't do that, we will sort of always find ways in which we can support them. And if they continue to say that they can't do it, can't do this, can't do that, then we will finally come round and ask them the question. It's not that you can't, it's perhaps that you're not ready to at this moment in time. And then, you know, decisions have to be taken as to whether or not further training or better understanding or more support or mentoring, all of those things in order to support somebody through a time of change is appropriate. Because the biggest thing that happens if we don't provide that support, or if we accept a can't as a sign of weakness, then the biggest thing that happens is that that person then will have regret. And so what we do is, with the utmost care, we try and prevent or create a buffer between the sense of regret of not being involved or not stepping up to the mark or not taking an action, that or even taking responsibility sometimes, when it's their own self-limiting perhaps or fear that is getting in the way. And there's always a way that we can support and help somebody overcome that if they're ready to. But obviously we also accept that sometimes it's really not the right time, and that's absolutely fine as well. So what I want you to do as a little exercise as part of today's session is I want you to cast your mind back to and I should know what today's date is, it's the 15th, isn't it? The 15th of January, 2020, a year ago, 2 weeks into the new year, a year ago today. And, you know, the most obvious thing is that we were beginning to hear a little bit about COVID, but we were clearly not sort of fully aware of what the impact was going to be, and not just on us as individuals, or us as a country, or the creative arts as an industry, but really on the whole world. And so I want you to think about, you know, this time last year, where perhaps you had set yourself some goals before COVID. We were still sort of around my birthday. So 2 months, we had another 2 months before we went into lockdown, actually more or less to the day. And so at that point, we were still in a fairly positive mode. And maybe you'd set yourself some goals and some targets. And I want you to just ask yourself where you are with those things now. And for all of the things that you achieved and you succeeded in, and that you have managed to attain over the year, despite the challenges, then absolutely celebrate and congratulate yourselves. And then take a moment to reflect on if there are any things that actually became impossible to achieve because of the situation, the changes. And those are the things that we need to sort of just bear in mind, because you can also ask yourself, was there really an excuse or an opportunity to take something or to learn from something or to take your ambition in a slightly different direction? And we've also, over the last year, it's like, how confident, if you ask yourself about the you that was the 15th of January 2020, how confident were you within the digital arena? How confident would you be to sit in front of a room of 35 people and share and listen and partake in something like that, in a digital landscape? And sort of how comfortable would you be about the idea of just sort of not showing your work in a face-to-face environment for a whole year, and have to really seriously think about the digital environment and e-commerce? So obviously all of these things, we wouldn't have and couldn't have possibly foreseen. And I think that that's one of the things that we have to consider when we talk about our goals and our ambitions and our plans, is that quite frequently life gets in the way. We never know actually what is round the corner. And we also have to take an attitude to expect the unexpected. because we can often learn more from the unexpected happening, and actually being able to react in a way that perhaps we'd never perceived. We can learn more, and it's not always very, very bad. It's not always, but you can't not do things just in case, because things just don't happen. So so it's really just being aware that there is a journey there, and we're not always in control of it. But the most important thing for me is to recognize and know that the path is set. And really, it's just about taking a bit of action, a little bit at a time, in a way that you feel most safe. And sometimes push yourself out of that comfort zone a little bit. It's always nerve-wracking the first time you do something, but at least you'll know that, you know, this time next year, perhaps, you know, even if it's the tasks that you complete today, that you've committed to today, then at least you'll know that you're moving in the right direction. And as I so often say, and I use the analogy of the flower so many times, you know, give yourself the right foundation, put the groundwork in place, plant the seeds, and nurture the first, you know, stems of growth, and then eventually things will blossom and bloom. And there are things that can get in the way. You know, you might plant in slightly the wrong place, or you might be shaded by certain, you know, overhanging branches, and some things will be stronger than others. But if you've got the components, if you've got the sunshine and the water and the soil and the seeds, then it, you know, you've got a good chance of something good happening. If you're missing any one of the main key components, or they're a little bit either too much or too little, then things can start going a little bit wrong. So really, all that I suggest is that we think about, you know, the whole of your creative practice as something that is constantly on the move, constantly going through cycles and constantly changing. And it's actually really, really exciting. So, but it does take commitment, and that's why commitment is one of our key focal points today, because we, as we've seen through the social platforms, and talking about, you know, creating interest, you know, that there are lots of things we have to have continuity, in order to build up relationships, in order to present ourselves in a trustworthy way, so that people know that we will be there in a month or a week or 6 weeks or a year, you know. And it does make a difference. It does make a difference when you are building up those relationships and your customers and clients know that there is a path ahead of them and a relationship to be had. I mean, not always, but you are working in an environment where you are working with high value goods. So people are making an investment in what you do often. Okay, so they just want to know that there's that connection there. So it's an important one. Having the continuity and the commitment can really help, you know, build up that relationship with your customers, but also it can really help strengthen the relationship with yourself, which is really the most important part, and the hardest, genuinely the hardest part too. So one of the things I want you to think about is think about where you want to be. I know we've set some focus points for the next few weeks, and we will, I said sort of, you know, sort of over the next few weeks or months in the video, but we'll follow up with you in the next few weeks. So do write them down, and I can send you a copy of whatever it is that you've put into the form, because it will register on our system, and I will send you that over the next few days, a week, and then we will revisit with you, because a commitment to yourself can become slightly stronger if you also make a commitment to others, and if there are people involved in a group. And then a little bit, it's because they're there to support you. They hear you. you know, it's an enormous thing to write something down or state something in public, and it becomes real. The moment you write down a dream or a task or a goal, then it actually takes on some real gravitas, and it takes on a real energy of its own. And it also is no longer sitting in your brain. It sort of moves, and it's sitting on your shoulder, and it occasionally taps into you and says, you know, what's happening with this or what's happening with that. And that's where sometimes a bit of guilt comes in, because you know you're not really paying attention to something that you've set in motion. So, you know, when you work within a group, or when you state your intention out loud, or you write your intention down, or you share your intention, and that's what these tasks are. They're intentions. They're incredibly powerful energies that are being put into play. And you are making a commitment. You are making a commitment to yourself, but you're also making a gentle commitment to the task in hand, but also to the people with whom you're sharing, because you are sharing. And that's an honor. It's an honor to receive, and it's an honor to hear, and it's an honor to witness. And I've loved reading what people have said, and are committing to themselves. And it's very personal. It's very, very personal. So the power of doing that actually really does give it some gravitas. But one of the things as well that we've talked a little bit about over the last few days, and certainly within the Facebook group, this has really become apparent, is the support that comes by sharing within a group. And I hope that you've all you know, enjoyed being part of the challenge, and certainly enjoyed participating in sharing and looking and hearing and listening to other people's perception of their work and their comments and feedback on yours, because it is supportive. And like so many people have said in the past, and even this week, it can be quite isolating. And it's been lovely to hear how you know, sort of positive the experience of working in the group has been for so many of you. So so I'm really grateful to you for that feedback. But the other thing about working in a group, and I guess the final point I just want to make in with regard this, is when you make that commitment, you do also, under the circumstances that we've set it, is we can, you know, hold you a little bit accountable. So gently, so without it being a burden. But when you do actually sort of voice something out loud, when you do write it down, when you do put it out there in the world as an intention, then actually it does make it easier to become slightly accountable, because you've set it free. You've set that task or that dream or that wish free, and that freedom will mean that it will come back and visit you. And so if you don't make those commitments now, and don't even take a tiny step, and sometimes it can really, really take a tiny step, then you're working against the energy. It's as if you're trying to stop your plants grow. You're actually actively not helping it. And what happens is that it will come back. It will come back and revisit you. It will come back and revisit you again and again. And that's, again, just the way that nature works. Can't help it, just does happen. So we will take on, the team and I will take on the responsibility of holding you very gently accountable. And as I mentioned in the video, I'll contact you over the next probably 2 to 3 weeks, and we'll just send you a little email and ask you how you're getting on. And it'll be lovely to hear if you've managed to do even the smallest things. And it will be interesting to see how many of you in 2 weeks' time will be thinking, oh, I wonder, oh no, gosh, Jan's going to be emailing me this week, and I haven't done anything. And then, you know, sort of just as I do, or just the day before, you will maybe do something, because life gets in the way. and that's fine, you know, that's what happens. But the most important thing is that this time next year, I'd really hope that you don't look back on this week. One hopes you look back on it with fond memories, but I hope you don't look back and think, I wish I'd done this, or I wish I'd done that, or you know, what were my tasks? Because it doesn't take much to start the momentum rolling, to start it going, and yeah, and so even if you took half a step and not the whole step, or by taking that half a step, you will learn so much, and it's very, very powerful. So I want you just to think about one thing with regard to continuity as well, because the support of a group can really help your continuity. It makes it easier because of all of the things that happen. So it's the continuity of answering a question, or it's the continuity, it brings you right back to where you want to be all of the time as well. So so continuity is important. A little step every day, or a little step once a week, or putting an hour aside every 2 weeks just to do something, even if it's thinking time, and writing time. Again, by writing your tasks down and your goals down, you're giving it that gravitas, you're giving it that weight, you're giving it that momentum. So a little bit every, you know, whenever you can, you know, it can really, really add a lot. But you almost have to block the time out. And this is one of the things, I don't know whether Jenny's on actually, I can't see her, but Jenny does some of our admin for me, and we have to block time out in my diary. I mean, I'm somebody who does actually get quite a lot done, but I literally have to have a couple of hours every few days in order to do certain tasks. And Jenny's very good at sort of reminding me to do them, because otherwise, you know, we all do it. So just find your own. So there have been some brilliant tips today on creating in the Facebook group, on creating those ways in which you can remember and prompt. And there are lots of tools out there. We talk on some of our other workshops and things. We talk about a lot of the digital tools that are available, because there are so many good ones, but there also is good for you to find something that suits you too. So find your own ways. You'll know, we all know ourselves, we know what we're good at. And it's sometimes important to remember what we're really good at, because it's easy for the things that we can't do, or, you know, that or don't want to do, to take over. So, you know, when you start thinking back, most definitely, as I mentioned earlier, about, you know, this time last year, then really, really take time to celebrate the things you have done, especially in the times of difficulty that we've experienced. You know, it's been a highly anxious time for so many people. But there are lots of glimpses of hope and glimpses of joy within that too. So we've got to hold on to those. So there are three things I want you to think about just for a moment. There are different approaches to your tasks, okay? So I'm going to introduce three terms to you, one of which you will definitely know. So there's the DIY approach, which is do it yourself, as you all know. And the DIY approach means that you do everything. You do your own research, you do your own production, you do your own creation, and you are responsible for all of those things. And the exchange that happens when you take a DIY approach is your time and your effort. So your time versus your effort. So your the progress you make will be a payoff, often between time and effort. So the more effort you put in, the more progress you will make. The more time you put in, the more progress you will make. You might spend lots of time doing very little effort, and then you'll obviously make less progress. Okay, so the do-it-yourself approach, where you're doing everything yourself, there's a way, a trade-off between time and effort, and that in itself can actually cause some time lag. So it can take you longer to do certain things because you're doing it all yourself. You're doing all the research, etc. The second approach is a DWY, so do it with you approach. This is pretty sort of this is coaching speak, I guess. So some of you may well have heard of this before. So do it with you is that you share the burden. So you have either a team around you, or you have somebody who is mentoring you, or you have sources of information where you can fast track your learning. Okay, or you can use applications which are pre-programmed. Okay, or you can use automation tools. Now, the exchange for a do it with you approach is that you may save time and you may save effort, or you may spend your time and effort in a slightly different way. You may spend time and effort in learning something or listening to something rather than the actual research and doing. But the balance is that you usually have to pay for it. So you have to pay for investing in somebody else to help you, or the knowledge or the application, the technology, for example. And we can see this with regard to any of the applications that we use and things. And then the final approach, which is definitely one to consider as well, is for those people that say, I really, really don't want to do this. I don't want to do it. It's not that I can't, it's just that I'm not prepared to sacrifice my time or my effort from other things which are more important to me. And that being the case, then you probably need to look for somebody to have an arrangement which is a do it for you. So that's where you just delegate. You delegate the tasks and responsibility to somebody completely, and you hand over control. So what I find from working within the creative arts and working with artists and makers is there's a constant dichotomy of, sort of needing to do things, as all small businesses do. You have to be a master in lots and lots of different areas. But at the same time as doing lots of things, you're sacrificing the thing that actually brings you lots of joy and pleasure, and also is the thing that brings all your customers lots of joy and pleasure, which is actually to create. And so it's about finding the balance between the different elements. And I know how terribly difficult that can be, terribly difficult that can be. And I guess that's one of the reasons why we set up Soul Design Collective, because as a community, we hope that the knowledge that we bring, but also the peer learning and the shared knowledge that our community brings, and the different groups bring, that actually it means that we help people move forward. We unstick them from the stuck places, and we can guide them. We can give them a little push occasionally if it's needed, but we're here to listen, and we're here to help, and we're here to support. And so I would hope that we are one of the tools perhaps that you may be interested in if you're looking at a do it with you approach, because we're not here to do it for you. We can't tell you. We don't want to take away everything that you bring and everything that you do yourself. But we think the do it with you approach is really, really important, because at this moment in time, none of us know what we don't know. But when you've got a whole team of people that actually have a common interest and a common love and a common aim, and actually we work on that together, then you can move through and learn from each other and support each other, and that can be very, very powerful and positive. And that's really why we've designed the program that I posted about today, which is the groundwork group. So, or the groundwork groove, we're calling it. So this is an opportunity, if you're interested, to continue with the learning that we've started over the last few days. And so again, it's appropriate because it's about continuity. And I completely accept it's not for everybody. I completely accept that there's a lot going on at the moment. But for some of you, then I would hope that you may look at a slightly longer term commitment. The course runs over 5 weeks. It will be open until the 31st of March, but it will be again a closed group. And we will close the group it starts on the 8th of February. So we will close aspects of the application just around that time. Okay, so I've posted details in the Facebook group, and over the next day or so, I will also send out details to your email that you've registered with, if you've registered via the email. So keep an eye out for that and have a think about it. And if you've got any questions, then just drop me a line. Okay, because it is a way where you can build on the continuity. I have purposely timed it so that it finishes just before Easter. And so it will close on the 31st of March. The first 5 weeks will be coaching. So it'll be 2 evenings, 2 1-hour slots a week for 5 weeks. But there'll be lots of interaction, group interaction as well. So in a similar way, we'll be posting tasks, we'll be setting intentions, we'll be setting checklists. There's lots to involve you with. We build on what we've done, whereas what we've been doing over the last 5 days is hopefully giving you an opportunity to consider why certain things are important and why certain things need to be done. And the slight difference is that you won't really be able to do anything about anything. You can't start change if you don't know why. Okay, so the purpose of the Kickstarter challenge is to introduce why certain things are important so that you can start to identify how to prioritize and put them on your to-do list. It's about bringing things into the awareness. The difference with the Groundwork Groove group is it takes it a stage further, because we will start showing you how. Because knowing why is great, but if you don't know how, or you don't have a clear understanding how those changes are best implemented for you, then again, unless you can put a lot of time and a lot of effort into it, then it can be a little bit of a long haul. So we move on to the how, but the how is meaningless, and you won't ever do it if you don't understand why, which is why we start with the why. So I hope that makes sense. So look out for more information. I think Ren's probably going to pop the link in for us as well, and so have a look at that and see if that's of interest. We never stop learning. Every day you will learn something. It's really, really important part. But learning from people that you respect and learning from people that have experienced it before can really, really give you some way of helping. So in your continuity, when you look at continuity and you look at the commitments you're going to make to yourself, because those are the only ones that are important, then, look at your peers and find things that you love about what the people you really respect and trust do, and take inspiration from that, because inspiration is really powerful too. So that would be my, one of my tips as well, is continue to do what we did on Tuesday's session, where we were looking at websites. If you are in the game for setting up a new website or reviewing your website, find some websites that you really love and use those to see what works, and sort of those things. So working with peers and learning from your peers is very, very powerful. And it's no point in reinventing the wheel. There are lots of people doing brilliant things out there. So let's actually learn from them and mitigate against the risk of mistakes. We can't always stop mistakes happening, but they're not really mistakes, they're just lessons. That's how I like to see them, like forgetting to put the recording on. I've got a big sticker on my screen tonight, don't forget to put the recording on. I have to keep looking at it just to make sure it's going still now. So it's funny, really, it's funny. It's how we learn, Okay, so are there any questions about commitment and continuity? Let me take my big sticker off. And oh, thank you, Ros. Yes, shall I mention just the cost of the course? Elizabeth has asked. So the cost of the groundwork group is £290 for the 5 weeks of coaching, and then the continuity of the 31st of March. However, to thank you for participating in the Kickstarter group, there is a discount coupon of £100 that will be applied to that if you sign up as a Kickstarter, and that's the code. Okay, the details are within the Facebook group. Now, the only issue we have is the fact that we have quite a big community, and so that discount is only going to be valid until a week on Sunday. So it's valid for 10 days. Okay. The Facebook group, our Kickstarter challenge group, will be closed on the 31st of January. So the discount will be open until, I think it's the 24th, which is the Sunday. And I'll send you out a reminder. But the discount code is only valid for 10 days, and then you've got a week left, and then we'll be closing the group because we won't be in a position to continue to monitor it and manage it. Okay, so I hope that you have a think about that, and if you've got questions, then just drop me an email, and I can sort those out for you. If you want to know a little bit more about any aspect of it, then just feel free to drop me a line. Okay, so we have got one thing that I mustn't forget to do, because it is party night and celebration night, and I'm loving these. These look great on screen. I think they look better on screen than they do on the mirror. Then I do have to award a top contributor prize. Yay! I love a prize, nearly as good as I love a disco ball, really. So I am very grateful to Facebook, because the algorithms within Facebook actually tell me who the top contributor is. And it was actually a very, very close call. We had lots of people who were very active within the group. But interestingly, despite the fact that there were a few people who had more likes, they'd gone through and liked lots of things. The way that Facebook algorithms work in the rankings was that it actually increases the ranking for the people who actually made posts into the group as well, which is worth knowing because it backs up what we've been saying. So if you post in a group, you will have greater visibility, i.e. because it's creating content. It's what we've been saying all along, is create content. Content is king with regard to social media platforms. They really raise you up. And this is absolutely the fact for our top contributor, our prize winner. Congratulations to Penny. So Penny, that's you. We're absolutely delighted. Do you want to unmute? Yay! Shall I unmute you, Penny?
Oh, there we go.
There, congratulations.
Well, thank you. I don't enter competitions and I don't do prizes, so that's a surprise.
Well, we're really delighted. And what I would like to offer you as a massive thank you for being our top contributor is I'd like to reach out to you, and we will have a one-to-one session together at a time which is convenient to you.
Thank
you.
So
we'll have a transformation coaching session, just you and I, so that we can really work on something that you choose is right for you at this moment in time. So I'll reach out and contact you over it'll be at the beginning of next week now, and you can have a think about what you want to focus on. But thank you so much for being our top contributor. It's been a pleasure. So big cheer for Penny. Yay!
Thank you.
It's my
It
pleasure.
wasn't easy. My last post wasn't easy to do, but I felt I
I
needed to
know,
do it.
actually, it was really a lovely, lovely post to witness. And again, like I say, it's always a really incredible and humbling experience when participants post in the manner in which you did, because I know it takes a lot of courage sometimes to do that. So again, it's very much appreciated for you contributing in the way that you did, as well as not just in everything else. So very well deserved. So
well,
thank you.
I just want to say thank you to the group for being so supportive.
Oh yeah, well, it has been a really lovely group, as always. The groups are, but this particularly, I think the timing, you know, the conditions and the situation that we live in, then yes, absolutely, it has been a really a lovely, lovely group to work with. And so a huge thanks. And as we're talking about thanks, actually, I must extend a huge thanks to the team. So we've got Ren, who's there, so give Ren a big wave. But we've also got Jenny, and I don't know whether Jenny's online. She might be online, hidden away somewhere tonight. And also Yeka, who has been helping behind the scenes. And it takes a lot to organise events like this, a lot of hard work. And so I couldn't do it. I do the easy bit, which is the bit that I like, which is chatting, basically. But I couldn't do what I do without the support team behind me and the team within Soul Design Collective. But they're a new team, actually. So for them to step up and be able to sort of jump on board at a very fast notice has been really, really an absolute credit to them all. So massive, massive thanks to them. So yeah, that's brilliant. Okay, so we have done our prize giving. We have talked about commitment and continuity. We have talked a little bit about what happens next, but really and truly, it's now up to and over to you. So have a think about your tasks. For those of you, we've had about 50, well, when I checked, and it's probably an hour or so ago, we had about 50 people who had already completed the form. Make sure you press submit on the form. I actually was testing it out earlier, and I thought I'd done another boo-boo and not set the form up properly. But in fact, I just hadn't submitted on the test that I was doing. And so I was very grateful that everyone else's was coming through. But do make sure you press submit so that it registers, and then we'll be able to pick it up and remind you. Yes, let's over to you. And if there are any questions specifically around commitment and continuity, then please do ask. I'm just trying to have a quick look at my notes. I've scribbled and I can hardly read my own writing. Yes, no, I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. So let's have a quick open mic session. And if there's any questions, then please hands up. I love the hands up. This is a new feature of Zoom. They've got even better, haven't they? Is there anyone that would like to add anything? So let's see. I have to have my eyes open today. There are no hands up at all. Oh, who's next? Nigel? No, next door. What, David? I can see you pointing, but I can't see what you're doing. Unmute. Talk to me. Talk to me.
It's Vanessa.
Oh, Vanessa. See, Vanessa's next to you, but I don't know whether Vanessa's next to everybody because I think we all have a different view. So probably. David's great pointing like this, and he's pointing at Nigel on my screen. I don't know whether that works like that. So it's very confusing, you see. So Vanessa, I can't see you quite. Where are you?
Hello.
Oh, hello. There you are. I can see you now. And Eleanor, I can see you. See.
I can see Eleanor has got her hand up.
Yeah, no. Well, Vanessa, David very kindly highlighted you to me. So let's start with you.
Friends, you see. Can I ask, do you think during the 5-week course, whether there'll be an opportunity to kind of do visualizations, you know, about what we want in regards to our art and our practice?
Vanessa, you couldn't actually have asked a better person for that. So those of you that know me within the Soul Design Collective team know that I am a bit of a, I don't know what word to grasp. So many came flooding into my head, so many labels. But anyway, I do quite a lot of energy work, and I do quite a lot of self-reflection, shall we call it that? So in a lot of the sessions that we do, yes, we do have a time of, or an opportunity to reflect and go in. And I'm not unknown to, you might see my bowls and things, you know, to do some bowls to get you into deep states of meditation. And it is amazing what happens. It's incredibly powerful. So we actually have just started, this is something completely beside the beside, but within the Soul Design Collective community, I ran a couple last year, which are like their sound sessions. So I work with alchemy crystal bowls, which give a very, very pure sound and pure vibration. And the bowls I work with are aligned to your chakras. So they're aligned to your intuition, to your heart, and to your sacral chakra, which is the heart of your creativity. And we ran a few sessions last year specifically for our creative community, with the view to helping people to connect with the creative energies from within, which is obviously very, very powerful, but also very, very important. So we are going to be running these on a monthly basis because they are, I just think, very important at this time. It's a very, very strong feeling I have. So I'm going to do it. So we can do that within the groundwork group as well. In fact, I will extend the invitation now to the people who participate in the groundwork group can participate in the sound bath. As part of that. And in addition to some of the Monday and the Thursday sessions that we'll be running, there will certainly be opportunities to go into that sort of space. Because that's what we find very powerful. And in some of the sessions we've run in our coffee mornings and things, we do quite a lot of visualization. So yes, is the answer. Thank you for asking, because it's right up my alley, and without it being too, you know, gooky. But yes, absolutely. Perfect. And it's powerful. I published, have a look on our Instagram posts. If you haven't visited our Instagram, there's a beautiful turquoise image of a mermaid sitting on a rock with a dolphin. Oh, did you see that? So yeah. Flo did that during our last sound bath. And I invite people, you can't use machinery, you can't drive during a sound bath because you go into a really deep space, deep state of relaxation. But it can be very good to draw or create, as long as you're not using machines. And so as a consequence, Flo was doodling. And so that was what manifested from her doodle. Wow. So I'm very, very, yeah. And we've had similar experiences. Kate, I don't know whether Kate's on tonight, but Kate has named some of her pieces after some of our soundscapes and things. And sometimes we just do 10 minutes, but the ones we're going to run on a monthly basis will be for an hour, or the session will be for an hour, be probably about 45 or 50 minutes of actually sound in that. So look out for those. And if you haven't joined joined the community, go to our website and just sign up, because it's a different group, and that's literally just giving you access to it's free to join, but it's giving you access to our mailing list. So you know now the importance of having that continuity of relationship via email. So on a monthly basis, we just update people by email about what the events are. And we run a lot of free events as well as ticketed events. So keep your eyes open for those. And if that calls to you and you want to be part of that community, then jump on and jump in, because the conversations happen there too. And there's lots going on. So, and you can always if it suddenly feels that it's not right for you, then just unsubscribe. There's a right time, always a right time, and just go with what you're feeling.
Yeah, I have been along to one and it was really fantastic.
Thank you.
To be included in the 5 week, but yeah, but
no, definitely. It's not going to be there every week, but they will, without doubt. It's not me being me if they don't sneak in there somehow. So there will definitely be a little bit in there for sure. Well, thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you.
Thank you. Eleanor, how
Hello.
are you? Hi.
Yeah, I'm okay. Hi, Jan. Thanks for
Good to
this evening.
see you.
Thanks for this week.
Oh, my
Yeah,
pleasure.
see everyone. I just wanted to ask you something about continuity. It's something I struggle with. I think with a lot of areas actually, but focusing on art, specifically social media at the moment. Yeah, I did like a free trial with Hootsuite, Tailwind. I know you did a Wednesday morning, one of the coffee morning sessions around that, I think, I seem to
Yeah.
remember. And I found them mind-boggling. But I think that's just my brain. Like Hootsuite was just like, oh my God, I just didn't know where to begin. I didn't even use it, you know. I had a free trial for a month, and the fear in me, you know, the block around it. Maybe I need a couple of sound baths or something. I don't know, but
they would help, but they won't cure the block. It's like me and my red button with MailChimp. You know, if you've got that, then it's really difficult. It is really difficult. But there are other techniques that you can use.
Yeah, it's just because obviously at the moment, social media is even more important, and I understand the continuity of posts on Instagram and Facebook, and I'm on a few other platforms as well, like Behance and Creative Pool, and you know, then there's Twitter, and then there's LinkedIn, and I'm on all of them, and Facebook, and I've got my own website, and I'm just starting to feel
drowning.
Yeah. And maybe this is more for a one-to-one session, but I think it's just continuity and the overwhelm, and it's like, yeah, someone posted actually that they put aside a Monday and a Friday for like
it's
marketing.
David.
You know, and I thought, yeah, I mean, you know, I've tried to do that, and I don't know why I find it so hard. I get really distracted on those days. I find everything and anything to distract me. You know, suddenly a cake is more important.
Yeah. My washing, I'll suddenly go, I'll just add an extra half an hour onto the dog walk in the morning, you know, and things like that. So
yeah, I don't know. I was just wanted to put that out there. Just
You're not the only one, and I really appreciate your honesty, because we all feel it, and you're not, you know, there will be loads of other people within the group feeling exactly what you feel, and we all know what that's like. Part of it is when it's new, and part of it is when it's something that isn't really driven by passion. So so that's, you know, some of the, you know, issue. When you're learning something, it's quite painful. I always sort of say, when we're implementing change, you have to go through that pain barrier where you don't know enough, where you don't know what you don't know, which is, I think, what I said earlier. And so everything you try, you don't know whether it's you or the data or the application, or, you know, that there are so many different aspects, and it's and we lack confidence in ourselves at that point. But, you know, there are ways in which you can manage it. I mean, start small. The reason we recommend automation tools like Hootsuite or Tailwind is the one that we use, or later we use, is because despite the fact there's a learning curve, which is obviously quite difficult to get over and takes time, once you've mastered that, it can really, really save you time and sort out the continuity a little bit. But where you've got lots of platforms, and you mentioned an additional few on top of the sort of standard ones, if you like, then yeah, it's difficult to keep up with everything, and it's a matter of prioritizing and monitoring, in some respects, which ones are really working for you. So I think we talked a little bit about, you know, for some people, the sort of a market like, or a platform like LinkedIn may add a lot more value to them because of the customer profile there, because it's a little bit more corporate, a little bit more, you know, it's more professional. you know, so that platform, if you're working in the commercial sector, or your work is for the commercial sector, or looking for wholesale outlets, then that platform would probably be a better option for you. So it's really, rather than, I mean, on the one hand, I'm saying have lots of windows of opportunity and lots of windows to the world, but that is where you position your work. But it's also about trying to find the ones that more people that are interested in you walk past. And that does take a little bit of time. So it's a little bit of, if you've got the analytics in place, it will fast track it for you, because otherwise it's a little bit of guesswork. I'd actually, when I started looking at some of our analytics, I sort of said that I thought the majority of our audience were women over the age of 45, because those were the majority of people who were coming to our face-to-face groups. But then when I looked at Google, and I looked at our Instagram, and I looked at our Facebook analytics, actually I was completely wrong. And actually a really big part of our demographic is men as well, but also younger women. And I was about to stop targeting those people, and it would have been a massive mistake. So quite often we have got these hidden audiences who are, as I mentioned yesterday, the voyeurs. They're the watchers, and they might not actively participate, but it doesn't mean that they're not interested. And we make mistakes really easily. I thought that I had active members within the Soul Design Collective of probably about a third of our email list was actually really very active. So I was actually going to write to everybody and say, you know, if you don't want to be part, we're upgrading our systems, we're changing our systems. If you don't want to be part of the community, that's fine. I just won't move you across. And in fact, I found that we were about 85% of our users had actually opened our correspondence within the last 3 months, which is huge. You know, it's like the interactions, but unless you've give yourself the opportunity to dive in and see where your effort is being most used, then it's a drain. And so what you're feeling at the moment is you're feeling a drain. You're not seeing the benefit of what you're doing. And as a consequence, why on earth would you then feel enthusiastic about it? But once you start to see how it's coming back, then you can then target it much more efficiently, and you can offload some of the burden. So what you're feeling is absolutely natural, but unfortunately it is a little bit of what you have to go through in order to better understand. So the earlier you can put some of these analytics in place and put some of this groundwork in place, and some of these foundations in place, so that all of your systems are talking to each other and reflecting the information back, then it makes it easier to lose some of that angst about, oh my God, there's so much to do and I don't really know what the benefit of anything is. Because otherwise you're just jumping on the train of, you know, the popularity train, really. It's got to work for you. If it doesn't work for you, there's absolutely no point in doing it, because it's taking you away from your art.
Making the work, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's great. Thanks, Jan.
Does
I think
that help
it's
a
like
little
starting small. Yeah, absolutely. And I always bite off more than I can chew, and I get impatient and expect results really quickly. And I've just got to pull back a bit.
But those actually are all incredibly positive qualities. So, you know, without that, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing. You know, somebody who doesn't do all of those things and then burn out occasionally and not put yourself as at the top of the list of priorities, then all of those things are people who are high achievers. So actually, you know, don't worry too much about it. Just give yourself a bit of a break occasionally. And if you really don't like a product, this is why I do have some products that I will mention. I have some applications that I would even go as far as recommending, but I do completely accept as well that everyone's mind works in a slightly different way. So it is very personal. And I will say that, which isn't me sitting on the fence. It's just the fact that actually I do really respect that what I love is not everyone else's cup of tea. So, you know, so that's fine. So that's
Brilliant.
cool.
Thanks, Jan.
Thank you
Really
too.
helpful.
Thank you too. David, I know you've got to head off, so it's lovely to see you. Have a fabulous weekend and look forward to seeing your fantastic jewellery everywhere. I love your influencers thing. I'm trying to think of some more actually. So yeah, get that doing. See you soon. Take care. Thank you for sharing this week. Hi, we've got more hands up. Vanessa, yours is still up, but that's fine. Your label at the moment is iPhone, so I'm terribly sorry to be rude, but I don't know your name. Can you unmute yourself? That's it.
Is that me? It's me.
Yes!
Yeah, I'm on my iPhone today. I
That's
don't
okay.
think the microphone's working on my laptop for some reason.
Oh, I know.
I'm not sure why. I've tried everything to try and get it to work. But
You're here. You're here.
Yeah.
We just can't. Remind us of your name.
Demeanor.
Demeanor, that's right.
All
so
right.
It's just that you're labelled as iPhone, so
Okay.
I couldn't call you Demeanor today.
Right.
But hey
Okay.
ho.
Yeah. I was just wondering if there's a bit more information about the course. I mean, it does sound it does sound great. But I've got kind of some design course coming up. I think in March as well. So I'm just kind of wondering whether it's whether I should commit. Yeah, that's the word.
That's
whether
fine. Commit.
Yeah.
That's it. That's exactly what we're talking about. It's the big thing today.
Whether it's going to be a good idea for me to commit to that now, because I know that I will need to put some time into it as well.
Yeah. It does take a little bit of time, but again, that is up to you to work in. I don't know whether Ren can do this. Have you got my Calendly link? I'm not sure. Maybe I'll see if I can drop it in. You might have it. But what it might be worth doing is just dropping me a call. If we can find it, if I can. Yeah. I can share it otherwise, but just because you might have sort of very specific questions around the structure. I mean, I can briefly go through the structure. What will happen is a task will be sent to you with a video which will introduce the subject every week on a Monday morning, and then the Monday evening. So we're sort of reversing the way in which the order of things work. So there'll be a subject area set on the Monday morning, and then we'll have a coaching call right at the beginning of the week. So the coaching call will be to introduce and explain to you how to do certain things, and then within that on that Monday we will set tasks for you on the Monday evening that will cover the purpose of what you want to be looking to achieve with regard that area. So we're going to be looking at things like products, pricing, doing customer analysis. We're going to be looking at websites, social media, all of the things that we've been looking at this week and more, but we're going to be looking at how to do certain things. Okay. And then, so that's set on the Monday, and the coaching call happens on the Monday. What then happens, and that will be at the same time, 7 o'clock on a Monday evening, and then you get on with what you can do, okay, with regard that task. And then on the Thursday, there's going to be an Ask Me Anything type follow-up call, which means that as you've been working through the task, we will get together on a Thursday evening at 7 o'clock, and you have an opportunity to ask questions around it, or for us to clarify or continue with the learning aspect of that subject. Okay, and then you have the Friday and the weekend if there's more that you want to investigate, or you can park it there, or you're still got a list of to-do things that you maybe will work through at a later stage, and then the following Monday it'll be the next subject. So we cover more than 5 subjects, but we cover 5 key areas over 5 weeks, and then the group remains open until the end of March, so that we can keep just continuing the conversation. But we won't be having the coaching calls. We probably will have a couple of follow-up meetups, between about for the last 2 weeks, but the core learning will be done in the first 5 weeks. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, because it's really kind of, I think it's probably I need to kind of be practically kind of doing things can move forward.
But that's why we do it, so that you're building up a picture, you're building up the whole time, because exactly as was said earlier, you know, it's very easy to get into overwhelm, and I can really appreciate how difficult it is, but just a little bit at a time. So, you know, that's the way that we structure it. I'm somebody who's worked with learning and run courses, so I understand. I really appreciate how difficult it can be to instigate change in the first instance, but I also know what works. So so hopefully that helps a little bit. Have a think about it, and genuinely, if you want to, I will drop my Calendly link in the Facebook group, in the unit final day or follow-up Facebook group unit, and if anyone wants to just book a 15-minute call with me, then that link gives you direct access to my diary, and we just have blocked out, this is again me time managing my time, but we've just blocked out a few sessions every week, so that if you have questions and just want to have a quick chat with me about something specific, then you know, I can't really do coaching at that time, that's not what it's designed for, but I can just give you pointers in certain directions and things, or answer any queries. So I'll drop that in, I'll try and do it tomorrow in the follow-up. Yeah, so keep an eye on the Facebook group for that. All right then, great question. Thank you for asking.
Thank you for the week as well. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. Thanks for joining. Thank you. Miss Caniz, lovely to see you. Can you unmute? There you go. Well done.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you so much. Thank you all so much. Yes, I've tried my very best to be here for the past few days. It's been absolutely wonderful. You have no idea.
Oh, bless you.
It's been like a really wonderful. I've been a little bit late just on the few sessions, I think 10 minutes or so.
That's fine.
But I really appreciate every single one of you artists out here, and everything you've said, Jan, is just,
thank you.
Yeah, try to be like a sponge. And I don't really have any question, because I'm just like, yeah, so I'm just like blown away with what Soul Gallery stands for and what you represent, what you do, because I've only recently found out about it.
Well, we're really not trying to be a well-kept secret, but we were testing out quite a lot of our ideas, and, you know, just really, again, it's like we've all been talking about doing a bit of research. We wanted to make sure that what we said and, you know, our advice was of use. And so I guess, you know, we piloted the whole principle when we were doing face-to-face. It all started with face-to-face. And so, you know, the online, the confidence with which we're all working online, we went online very, very quickly after lockdown. But, you know, I come from an online environment, so I was very comfortable in that, which made it quite easy to switch. But we really didn't know whether any artists would turn up to any of our sessions, because, you know, we know that, you know, there was a slight digital reluctance, really. But, you know, so the beauty of what Soul Design Collective offers now is not limited by geography, because we can really enhance and celebrate the digital landscape. And that's really what I want to try and, you know, help you all bring to your creative practice, because you don't have to be constrained by geography, by buildings being open. You can reach people. It's just knowing what to say and the way to say it. So, but thank you so much for your lovely words and your kind, you know, your kind thoughts. So that's great.
They're all true. They're all true. And I'm so glad I signed up to it.
Thank you.
I recently just happened to have seen it. So I'm so glad I found out about it.
Well, I appreciate how difficult it is to, you know, to commit. It is hard. It's hard when, especially when so much is going on, and there's so much uncertainty.
Sorry, it's just like what you said. Once you get the ball rolling, the most difficult and the most challenging thing for me, just to begin.
Yes,
everything else just flows.
It does. It is exactly like that. The momentum is the hardest thing, and it takes courage, and I don't underestimate that at all. So I really appreciate you sharing that as well.
Yeah.
So
I want to share something with you, just very quickly. I know there are lots of other questions. While I've been sitting in today, I've also been just writing, and I just and everything I've written here is everything you've spoken about. So the words and everything sort of scattered around. So I'll just share with you, if I may.
Please do.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Topic in the middle, and everything's other way around, and that's the page.
Oh, how lovely. Thank you. Would you kindly photograph that and send it to us, and we'll post it up in the Facebook group, or maybe you'd like to post it up in the Facebook group? We have, that would be just so beautiful. If it's not too personal to share, then it would be just so lovely to
everything
actually.
That's written here, they're your words, and everything that sort of come up from everybody.
Yeah, how lovely, lovely.
So,
well, please share. And if you don't mind, let us know if we can share it, and we'll share it wider as well. We do have, so quite often we find in the groups, and again, another one of our lovely, lovely artists, a textile artist, she's similar. She doodles often and does mind maps as we're talking. And hers, they blow my mind. You know, this is where I'm in awe. I'm absolutely in awe of everything you do. So please share anything like that. You know, it would be just so lovely. So thank you so much. Thank you.
I'll email it through. Thank you.
Thank you. That'd be lovely.
I'm not on Facebook. I'm afraid.
Oh, okay.
But I am on other I'm on
other
Instagram.
Platforms.
Yes,
Okay.
I am. And I've only recently, only because of COVID, had the courage to just start sharing.
It's never too late to start. I know that's the thing. It opens up a door. It's never too late to start. So, you know, Ren's just dropped my email into the chat. So that's my direct email. So
thank you so much. I will send it through.
All right, then. Take care. Take care. Louise, you had your hand up a little while ago. Have you got a question or comment? Oh.
Hello.
There we go. Hello.
Hi. Yeah, I think I'm sharing quite a big problem with Eleanor, the overwhelm of having to deal with algorithms, and not only that, having two different strings to the same bow, sort of wanting to be interior design and also wanting to be fine art. So then you go into sort of split personality, and then there's two things to do. And the question I have is, we're a group, so maybe Tuesdays and Fridays, one person might be able to do the interior design people and take on board a bunch of us to just get their head round that. And then somebody could do the fine art on a Friday, and we could organize ourselves into someone having to do the painful bit, but in return we do something for them.
It's not a bad idea.
Is there anything like that you've ever heard of? Or
I think there are, well, with regard actually to doing exchanges, do you mean with regard to tasks or just support? In what capacity are you thinking?
I think in respect of hammering out those emails and newsletters and going on this hoot thing.
Hootsuite.
Sorry.
Hooty. Yeah, no.
Look, I'm blushing because I think I'm asking a stupid question.
No. I think the thing is you know what you need to say for your business has to come from you, unfortunately, because you're building up your relationships with your customers, and there are no two that are the same. If you share it with other interior designers, then one is the methodology is going to be the same, but this is where the words and the feelings and the connections that you make is absolutely unique, and that's where you want to really try and find the things that resonate for you. So I completely understand what you're saying insofar as you can share the methodology with regard common tasks that need to be completed. And that's actually, in some respects, what we're trying to introduce to you, the concept of that actually, irrespective of whether or not you're an interior designer or an artist or a tattooist or a hotel chain or a shoemaker, you know, there are certain fundamental aspects to any business that need to be fully understood. And remember where we started right at the beginning, which is the confidence to be able to explain your purpose and your product and find the people that resonate with you. So it's important that, yes, if you're absolutely right, if you can find a group, a Facebook group of people that are like-minded, that can share the burden of the learning, then those groups exist. So, you know, have Facebook, that is what Facebook communities are about. So there will be interior design groups on Facebook. There will be fine artist groups on Facebook, and they're very, very proactive. There are Etsy seller groups on Facebook, because Facebook ultimately is about community. It's got a bad reputation for certain things because communities become very siloed, and the risk is that you will only get fed information by everyone that thinks the same, and sometimes we need to challenge a particular way of thinking in order to broaden our understanding and to be able to manage risk. And certainly from a creative perspective, we want to take inspiration from lots of places and ideas from lots of places, because that's how we digest and, you know, dissolve information and move forward. So I would say that, yes, I think your point is really valid, and I think your point is a really strong and good one. But my suggestion would be to investigate some of the Facebook groups out there, because those are where you will find people who have common interests and things. But for us, we've specialised, or we've you know, I've identified the market that I want to work with is artists, generically artists and creators and makers. And so most of the artists that we work with, in fact, I'd probably say 90%, do also run another practice or business of some sort. A lot of them are healers or work in mindfulness or medicine, in one capacity or another. A lot of them are teachers. Yeah, lots and lots of secondary or other side-by-side businesses. But I completely get it, because for many years I wore two hats, or multiple hats. We all wear multiple hats, but I wore two hats of the person who's trying to set up Soul Design Collective, and then the person who is always also running, you know, global projects. And I didn't really want to tell the people who I was running global projects for that I was, you know, sort of also setting up an art group. But at the same time, I didn't want to necessarily tell the art group that I came from a really strong corporate background, because they wouldn't take what I said. I couldn't use, I, you know, was testing out the words I wanted to use. And it's, you know, and I didn't want them to think that there wasn't any commonality, because there was commonality. So do you see what I mean? It's just finding the right balance and the right relationship. And we do have to accept that we are all multifaceted, and that then find the groups that resonate with your need at that moment in time. And this group may well help some of it, but we're not going to sort all the issues out. We will just be another food for thought. So yeah. But one of the things we're definitely looking at doing is connecting with interior design companies, because we think that that's a massively untapped market for getting art and handmade into homes. So one of the areas we're definitely looking at is working alongside, getting some business partners at some of the big interior firms. And then we're in this catch-22 at the moment, where we're obviously got their online gallery, and the business partners are keeping an eye on it, but they won't commit to it until there are more people showing. But the people showing won't also, you know, or the people looking to show sort of want to say, well, what's the benefit of me showing here? So we're at that fine line. So we need to sort of get more people in the gallery, and then the business partners are queuing up waiting to say, well, hang on a minute, yes, then we can start promoting. But they can't promote something where there's, you know, 20 people online. So we're at that dichotomy as well. So it is a constant juggle. Hopefully that helps a little bit.
That helped a lot. Yes, thank you. Loads to think about there. I mean, it's about research, isn't it? Finding
always
a group that will support exactly that specific thing that
it's
you
like
want.
it's like the analogy I often use is buying a new iPhone or getting a new iPhone or getting a computer system or Facebook. Just look at Facebook. We use it and we dive in and we use the bits that we need to use. Okay, we only ever use what we need to use at that moment in time. But there's probably, it's like an iceberg. We touch the surface only, and below that there's 90% of more technology, more capability that we're completely even unaware of. But by taking the first steps and actually touching the surface and standing on the iceberg and putting your feet on that 10%, you're then closer to learning about the 90% that's below. And at least you're then talking the language and investigating and actually suddenly starting to see these things. If you don't take that first step, you know, there's a lot more, but it's testing it out. And what resonates with you, you may, I join quite a lot of Facebook groups, and I will very quickly leave some of them because suddenly the language that's used, or, you know, the purpose behind the group is maybe not what I'd first thought. So, you know, it's trial and error is fine. It doesn't matter. It's research, like you say. But don't worry, don't not do it. Try it and see what works for you.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure, Louise. Thank you so much for sharing this week.
Thanks for everything. Yeah,
oh, it's my pleasure.
Been great.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. Shall we call it a day? It is nearly 8:30. Have I remembered everything? So Penny's, lovely Penny, is our top contributor. Congratulations. We've talked a little bit about commitment and continuity. You've got lots to think about, I'm sure. I hope you're not feeling too overwhelmed by everything we've talked about this week. Take some time over the weekend. I certainly plan to. Have a glass of wine this evening and pat yourself on the back for completing the Creative Kickstarter Challenge, and keep a little eye on your email over the next few days, because as I said yesterday, the fortune is in the follow-up. So I will be just touching base with you to find out some of your takeaways from the week and what you think. And also just to remind you of your self-appointed tasks. So if you haven't filled out the form under day 5, then please do, because again, we're not going to come round and ask you to provide evidence of what you're doing towards your task, but you'll know, and that's more than enough. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I'll just check and see. Ren, are there any other messages that we need?
No, I don't think so. I think you've covered everything.
Okay, super, super. Massive thanks to Ren. She's been stalwart, late nights and lots of work. And Yeka, who's absent today. And Jenny, who I think might have popped in earlier, but I'm not sure. And we shall be in touch. Keep in touch with us, please. We'll keep the Facebook group open for a little bit longer, but please do keep in touch. But in the meantime, have a fabulous, fabulous weekend. See you really, really soon.
Bye,
Take care.
thank you,
Cheers.
everyone.
Have a fantastic, congratulatory, lovely Friday evening.
Have a lovely weekend, everyone.
Cheers. Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers.